Now, if you've got around £15,000 to spend on a caravan, you've got plenty of options from the UK manufacturers. But if we're completely honest, they're all pretty much of a muchness. Whether you prefer a Venus, a Bailey Pursuit, a Sprite or an Explore probably depends on your personal preference in terms of interior finish and styling. But what about if you like to be a bit different? Well, perhaps you could have something like this. It's a Knaus Sport and Fun, and it costs a shade under £15,000. We've seen one before, of course, at the NEC last year, but this is the first time I've had a chance to properly get inside and have a proper look at it. And it's a pretty funky thing, isn't it? It looks fantastic. Check out those continental-style bobbly sidewalls, and of course, the door is on the offside, as you would expect from a continental caravan. However, there is something else that's rather more unusual. There is another door, and it's round at the rear here, and it's a particularly wide door with a nice low load lip, which makes it ideal for storing bicycles, canoes and whatever other paraphernalia you might like to keep in it, because of course this caravan is aimed at those younger, active outdoor caravanners that we all hope are coming into the hobby. It's also got a piece of standard equipment that you don't expect to find on an entry-level caravan, and that's an onboard water tank. And if you're thinking, oh goodness, what a pain, it means every time I run out of water I have to hitch up and tow it to a tap, well, think again, because there's another nice detail here. We simply open up the water tank and unplug this little cover here, and then we can grab our aqua roll, plug in this little portable pump, and start filling it up remotely. As soon as you step aboard, you see the reason why there was so little glazing at the front of this caravan, because of course this is where you find the master bedroom. There's a massive double bed here that stretches across the full width of the van, with only a small chunk taken out here at the entranceway. There's plenty of headroom, unless you're tucked right in the front there, when I think that sweeping nose could cause you to bump your head. Above, this isn't an extra bunk, but actually a storage rack, a la British Rail circa 1983. It's quite useful. I've got my coat in here at the moment, but I suspect you don't want to be putting anything too heavy in there. Not only because it might fall on your head, but of course if you set up too abruptly, you'll give it a bump. One thing that we note, there's only one reading light here, and that could be a bit of a pain for two of you. But if you need more illumination, this fan's got a really handy trick. We can just lean into the lounge, nick one of the lights, and place it there. It's such a neat trick and a really useful feature. While we're on the subject of useful features, underneath this bed you'll find the main storage area in this caravan. Simply take away the headboard, lift up the heavy-duty slatted base, and there's a vast garage which we can access here and also through this large door on the near side and a small one on the off side. Now we've got both doors and all the windows open to try and make it bright in here. It has to be said, natural light wise it can be a bit dingy, but it's kept lovely and cheery in this lounge by these bright peacock blue fabrics with their contrasting zigzag patterns, and the pale woods look great as well. This lounge has got space for about 4 people to sit around this neatly chamfered table, which allows access to get past and use the kitchen. At night, of course, the lounge provides another couple of berths. How does that happen, you ask? Well, easy. We pop down the table, remove these side cushions, and grab an infill cushion. Hey presto, an additional double bed. It's not the largest, it's relatively narrow, but it's plenty big enough to have guests over to stay for a couple of nights. And they've even got a couple of lockers overhead to store their gear. Now the first thing to strike you about this lovely curved kitchen area is just how much storage there is. There are cupboards underneath with shelves, huge drawers, more cupboards overhead, but then there's a pretty good reason why we've got so much storage, and traditionalist caravanners won't like this, but there's no oven and there's no grill. All you've got is this admittedly quite spacious 3-burner hob. And of course if you want plenty of worktop, you are going to have to keep that glass lid closed because there's not a vast amount without. That said, there's a decent sink, and if we move slightly further back, yet more storage, a load more shelves in here, and this is a natty touch. Up here, the TV point, which is perfectly placed to sit over the lounge for perfect viewing. And there are 2 sockets in there as well. Across the back of the van, we've got all of the utilities. We've got a really generous refrigerator with a removable freezer compartment and a bottle chiller in the bottom. A simply massive wardrobe, and underneath it, the Truma heater, which has also got blown air ducting that goes all the way to this bathroom, which is roasting hot inside now because we've had the heating on for a few hours, and surprisingly spacious for such a small van. You have to sit kind of side saddle on the loo in there because the space is longitudinal rather than across, but it's pretty spacious and it's pretty well equipped. We've got 2 little cabinets with a mirror, a little sink, and a nice opaque window to keep things bright in there, because frankly at the back of the van, without this door open, it is pretty dingy. There's a neat covered socket, but oddly for a well-specified caravan, a shower is optional. One other lovely detail which I have to point out is underneath the fridge. It looks like a drawer, but when you pull it out, the whole unit comes out and it's a storage box. Or pop it on the ground, grab a cushion from the cupboard, and it's a stool for additional guests. What a great idea. As we've already established, the Sport and Fun is not a caravan for traditional caravanners. But then it isn't really a mainstream model at all. Knaus only expects to sell a handful of them in the UK over the next 12 months. And I suspect for those buyers who are looking for a compact, stable, stylish and hugely spacious caravan with a flexible interior layout, this is going to be just about perfect, as long as they're not expecting to see another one anytime soon.